What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the next episode of Sports Talk with Hawk. I am Hawk, and on this Saturday, we are going to take a look at the first quarter of the season and figure out what we've learned, what we haven't learned, what we're waiting to learn, and what the next 5 weeks may clear up for us coming into the second quarter and heading into the trade deadline as we get closer and closer with contenders, pretenders, and basically whether or not people are happy playing where they are at or not. Like, it's really starting to come down to that, which I don't like, but neither here nor there. So let's just kind of go down. We're going to go down each division, is what we're going to do today. But before we do that, thank you so much for stopping by. Make sure to subscribe, like the podcast, ring the notification bell. That way you get notified every time a podcast becomes available. Okay, so let's start with the NFC East. As of right now, you have an interesting leader at the top of the NFC East. Most did not expect the Washington Commanders to be 3-1, potentially 4-1 after this weekend. Most, I mean, I did say they kind of had a gauntlet area. The Philadelphia Eagles had the Falcons on Monday Night Football, the Saints, and then the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, basically trying to get the NFC South out of the way nice and early. They lost two of those games. They did win week number 1 over the Packers and beat the Saints, but they're sitting at 2-2 heading into their bye week. The Cowboys beat the Browns, got roasted by the Saints, roasted by the Ravens, and honestly, if the quarterback isn't Daniel Jones, lose to the Giants. But they're sitting at 2-2, and then you got the Giants there at the bottom right now, with their one win. The NFC East really what have we learned? Number one, culture matters still in football. Culture still matters in football. The Washington Commanders. There were a lot. I'm not going to say a huge amount, but there were a good amount of people, fans and media, that were wondering how hiring a defensive coach, knowing that they were going to be drafting a rookie quarterback, would work. Here's the problem with this whole idea that defensive coaches can't win. It does matter what your culture is set as. What did Bill Belichick build in New England? He built the culture. Now, it waned thin heading into the 2010s and then waned really thin heading into the 2020s. But he had a culture. He did have good offensive coordinators. Josh McDaniels is a very good offensive coordinator. Charlie Weis was a very good offensive coordinator. The Washington Commanders have Cliff Kingsbury. He's a good, I would say, great offensive coordinator. He's not built to be the head coach. He's just not. So let's not try to make him something that he isn't. He's a very clever offensive mind that works well with quarterbacks. Dan Quinn is the one that is the bowl of the building, and the coordinators are the ones that everybody can go cry to. Hey, that's how it should be. You respect Dan Quinn, you follow the coach's lead. You and your offensive coordinator can whine and complain behind closed doors about what's going on while you're making your own game plan. That works. The job gets done. There's accountability. Washington has accountability. They have a culture that is being built. It's not built yet, but it's a culture that is being built, and you can see what it will be. And that is exciting. On the other hand, you have the Eagles and the Cowboys. The Eagles do have a culture of winning. That has been set down from the owner and the GM. And the head coach is getting in the way of that. The head coach has problems. Players with knowing football really well. But the culture is still a winning culture. The fan base is a winning fan base. The Cowboys, what is their culture? What are they? They aren't even drama right now. It's not even drama. You don't even have a show with the Cowboys right now. You look really bad against good teams, and you look okay against bad teams. Like, that's just, they play the Saints and the Ravens, and they look atrocious. They play the Browns and the Giants, and they look okay. But they don't look great. Culture isn't there. Sorry, Jerry Jones. You being the GM has hurt the Cowboys. The Cowboys are not America's team. The Cowboys were. But you'd love the Cowboys. Jimmy Johnson created a team that you loved. You respected. You don't love or respect these Cowboys right now. Brian Daboll is doing the best he can with Daniel Jones. He's gotten the turnovers down. They've got a solid left tackle. They need work on the offensive line still. The defense isn't horrible, but they have to overcome a lot of issues with the offense. And that's just not what the defense is designed to do. It's just not. It's not ready to do that. Give them a lead, they won't lose it for you. I mean, right now, they are the most successful defense against Jaden Daniels. Look at it. They are. Held them to 6 field goals. And they lost. Just think about that for a second. So in the NFC East, the surprise is the Commanders because of the culture that they've set. That's what we've realized is there's a culture that is being built. The Giants are still the New York Football Giants. They're not run overly great. But keep in mind that even through the Eli Manning years, Eli was a 500 quarterback. We're not talking about a team that has been dominating even when they won the Super Bowls. We're talking about 9-7 seasons. In a 17-game season, they're probably 9-8. We're talking about a lot of wild card berths. So let's just put it in perspective. The culture is making the playoffs. It's not winning Super Bowls. It's just making the playoffs, getting the wild card spot, being there, having an opportunity. The surprise in the NFC East is how bad some of these coaching matchups are ending up being. Sirianni just looks outcoached. McCarthy just looks outcoached. It's that simple. And they shouldn't be. They shouldn't be. But they do. The NFC East, right now, the Commanders are up top. Do I think the Eagles still potentially slide back up top after the Commanders get into the gauntlet of their schedule? I think that could easily happen, yes. But I don't like a long season after a week 5 bye week for the Eagles to stay healthy. Week 13, 14, be honest, I'm expecting the Eagles to break down badly. Players play, 8, 9 more games. A.J. Brown injured again. Devontae Smith injured. Is Barkley going to hold up for the entire year? I don't know. So there's concerns. There are concerns. All right. Next game. Next division. NFC North. What have we learned? It is a tough division. That's what we've learned. This division is tough. This division has 2 of the top 5 play callers in the NFL. It has one of the top 5 coaches on another team. And then you have the Bears. So where does that leave everything right now? Well, let's just start at the bottom. The Bears beat a Rams team that Rams should have been able to pull it out over them. Rams are injured like nobody's business, and the Bears needed to take advantage. The previous week, they threw away a win against the Indianapolis Colts when they really should have beaten the Colts as well. Caleb Williams showed a little bit of signs against the Rams, looked a little bit better, but we'll see if he can actually truly improve. He's never looked like Jayden Daniels. Jayden Daniels is legit. We're still trying to figure out if Caleb Williams can be. What we do know is the Packers at 2-2, Lions at 3-1, and the Vikings currently at 4-0. All of them will make the playoffs. I have no doubt of that. I really don't. They will beat up on each other. I think I said that earlier with the standings prediction. They will beat up on each other. Absolutely will. But the thing with that is, even with beating up on each other, this division is one of the strongest divisions that there's been in a while, because the Packers can win the division, the Lions can win the division, and the Vikings can win the division legitimately as legitimate threats. I like where the Vikings are at right now defensively. Gives Kevin O'Connell the ability to really keep Sam Darnold reined in. Now, they haven't played a lot of close games. They played one. The Packers came back with a, just returning from injury, Jordan Love. He was a little rusty in the first half, and in the second half, brought them back within 2 points. Now, that's just, sometimes that's reality. Other times, what's it going to be like when they get the rematch? That's my question. What's the rematch going to look like? So I can't wait for the Lions and Vikings matchups this year. I really can't. I can't wait for the Lions Packers matchups and the last Packers Vikings game, which will be in Minnesota. So I'm looking forward to that. Absolutely looking forward to that. But the NFC North is a gauntlet of a division. And I mean a gauntlet of a division. It's easily, I think altogether, it's the best division in football right now. I really do. I know the NFC West is there, but with the Rams as injured as they are, and the 49ers being kind of just like sitting on the brink, it's not that they're bad, but they're not dominating. With all of that being said, I legitimately believe it's got to be the NFC North. The fake division of football is the NFC South. You're going to get fooled. It's going to be a close division, and it's going to be a lot closer than what it should be. So through the first 4 games, what we've seen is we have Baker Mayfield, we have Derek Carr, we have Kirk Cousins, and now Andy Dalton. Each of them can have a game where you are in awe of how they play quarterback. Each of them can have a game where you're wondering, why are they playing quarterback? There are high highs and low lows in this division. It's a fake division. I thought Atlanta would be better. Cousins is a problem. I know, I hear it. But the guy needs to stop throwing interceptions. He didn't throw them in Minnesota. Why is he throwing them in Atlanta? He's not being as crisp. He's not being as sharp. He's not being what they just hoped he would be, which is, we don't need you to throw for 300 yards a game. We need you to throw for 225, be accurate with the ball, 20 out of 25, 22 out of 28, maybe. Not going to try to get you over the 30 mark. Don't turn the ball over. And we're going to let our offensive line with Allgeier and Bijan Robinson control the game flow. He's got too many turnovers. He's just got too many turnovers. There's nothing else I can say about it. The turnovers are ridiculous. Derek Carr, Alvin Kamara, I'm not sure which team is real. We're going to find out this week. I mean, it's, they played the Falcons tough. The Eagles kind of ran all over them. But when it comes down to it, they're sitting there. They crushed the Cowboys and crushed the Panthers. Lost close to the Eagles and lost close to the Falcons. Maybe they're a team that, is a little bit better than I thought. Then again, maybe not, because the offense has a really low. They didn't move the ball against Philly. They really didn't do that great against Atlanta. So this week against Kansas City, I believe, is a huge week for the Saints. They have to show that they can play with the Kansas City Chiefs right now. They have to show they can play against Kansas City. Will they? I don't know. The Panthers, I like them with Andy Dalton. They're going to get 5 wins with Andy Dalton. They're a tough out. They're a feisty crew. Dave Canales, I believe, has faith in Andy Dalton to run the offense. Chuba Hubbard ran for over 100 yards on Cincinnati. The offense looks balanced. It looks together. It looks clean. Defense isn't that sharp. Oh, well. You're trying to build something there, and I think Canales has a quarterback now that can just run the offense. Now, do I think he's going to get tired as the year goes on? Yep, I definitely do. But we'll see. But that's the NFC South right now. It just doesn't. The Buccaneers, big, powerful offense, bad defense, but then that offense sucked against Denver. And really wasn't the hottest against the Lions. So, that I think it's going to be a really tight division race because I'm not sure any team's going to win more than 10 games, unfortunately. And whoever wins the division is the only team getting to the playoffs out of that division, I believe. That's where we're at now. All right, the NFC West, who, after the draft, free agent signings, this was supposed to be the best division. Arizona, please fire Gannon. Please fire Gannon. Sign a coach that will be physical. You outflashed the Los Angeles Rams at home when they're injured and banged up. And then Washington comes in and does the exact same thing to you on your home field. Arizona isn't tough. It isn't physical. They got Marvin Harrison Jr. They got James Conner. They got Trey Benson. Kyler Murray's still there. They need a new coach. They need to be more physical. They need help. That simple. They need help. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. They just got to get help. Now, the other one, Los Angeles Rams. They're injured. They're banged up. Injuries are a part of the game, yes, but the way that they got just obliterated by injuries for the 5 offensive linemen, both receivers. Yeah, okay, there is a limit to how many injuries you can overcome. We still have a salary cap in the NFL. You can't just go signing a bunch of people, okay? Sometimes injuries happen. Can they rebound? I believe so, but I believe the division is going to be tough for the Rams to rebound because you've got the Niners who will get healthier. Jordan Mason is allowing the 49ers to just have Christian McCaffrey sitting off to the side for now. So good for him. Just gets to sit over there, which is fine. Deebo Samuel, they can kind of be easy with, but Brandon Ayuk for the 49ers has not done anything. Hasn't done anything. Now, maybe he'll get to form by mid-season, but what if he doesn't? Do you trade him now? Is that the move they make to get their roster where they need it for their last playoff or for their last big playoff push? Yes, I said last because you can't keep these guys together for too much longer. Brock Purdy's going to get paid. I do believe the improvement from last year to this year in the regular season so far is very viable. Very viable. I'll take it. I will absolutely take it. Hands down. So, with that being said, the team that's the best right now is the Seattle Seahawks, who went in on a Monday night football game in Detroit and played really, really, really tough football. They didn't get run out of the building. They played hard. They played good. They played tough. Everybody can respect that. Mike Macdonald has a good staff. Honestly, I really believe that they are the team right now that can fight the 49ers the best. I don't think it's really close. 49ers have some weaknesses, but I think they'll button it up eventually. Christian McCaffrey gives them a receiving option out of the backfield that Mason isn't. Mason's bigger. As far as running the ball, McCaffrey and Mason are the same. Mason has the abilities that McCaffrey does running the ball. But McCaffrey is the better pass catcher, the screens, the sweeps, the little halfback angles out of the backfield. McCaffrey's just a little bit better at those. And they're just off by a tick, and I think that's what it is. Now, what is McCaffrey's actual injury? You know what? There's questions. I don't know. I don't really know what it is at this point. Because of how good Jordan Mason has been doing, nobody's been asking about him. Think about it. Where are all the questions about Christian McCaffrey? Nowhere to be found. Nowhere. I thought this guy was the catalyst for this offense. Now, to be fair, he is. Man, tell you what. I know in the yesterday's or the podcast the other day, I had the tropical passion fruit from Body Armor. Today, I got my good old-fashioned strawberry banana. My gosh, is this stuff good. All right. It's good on a Saturday morning. Actually, it's good anytime, but nonetheless. So, he's obviously not the only catalyst for this offense, but he is a big piece of this. The team as a whole feels just like they're trying to, just tread water. Just be okay. And then when it comes down to it, they'll be there. They'll be fighting. I believe all three teams in the NFC North, 3 of the 4 make the playoffs, and I think the 49ers or Seahawks, whoever's second in the NFC West, probably is going to be the other one. Which unfortunately will potentially leave Washington on the outside looking in. But the way the team is built right now, I believe Seattle could win 11 games. Now, there's a very good shot that Philadelphia doesn't win 11 games. There's a good shot that both Philly and Washington go 10-7. I think Detroit will win 11, Minnesota will win 11, and Green Bay could win 11. With Jordan Love back, Green Bay right now has 2 losses. The games that I see as really tough for them, I think it's just going to be a bunch of splits. I think they'll split with the Lions. I think they beat the Vikings next time. So, right there, you got one more loss that puts you at 3. 11-6 from 2-2 is very doable. Very doable. The Eagles we're going to have to find out about. But as far as the NFC, the playoff picture looks, you're waiting to see if somebody else is going to stand up. These next 5 games are going to determine if a potential wild card can come out of the NFC South or if it's just going to be the division winner. These next 5 weeks will determine if a wild card team could come out of the NFC East or if it's just going to be the division winner. So the NFC as a whole, offense reigns supreme, boys, except for Washington and Seattle. Now, they've got really good coordinators, and they got culture. The cultures are being built. Pete Carroll didn't have a bad culture with Seattle. Never complained about Pete Carroll's culture. He's a player's coach. He's a young 70. I think the Cardinals should go get him. And a year off, I think he should be the guy that people go after next year. Really do. Really do. He could come in and bring stability to that organization. I absolutely think he could do that. All right, the AFC. It's going to be a little bit longer of a podcast. We're doing a whole review. So the AFC, starting the AFC East. Will the real try this again. Will the real Jets please stand up and fly? I don't know what they are. The offense, even in wins, looks bad. The defense, even in wins, looks middle of the pack. And you can't say they just need time to grow into things. They need to win. The defense is supposed to be the strength, then therefore giving Aaron Rodgers the ability to just be middle of the pack offensively and win a lot of games. Remember those Super Bowl title hopes? Yeah, not happening. I don't see it happening. They do have 2 really good running backs. I do like Breece Hall. I love Braylon Allen. They got Garrett Wilson. But the way that it's playing out, I feel bad for Jets fans. Because really, you should right now be 3-1. The game against the Niners, that's a bad spot opening week. I said that. But they didn't even play well against the Niners. And then the Broncos just blitzed them to death. They didn't really beat the Titans. Like, you've got a lot more questions than answers for the Jets again. And I don't think they're going to get answered soon with Minnesota tomorrow and then Buffalo next week. I don't see it getting any better. You're playing some real defenses coming up that are going to get after Rodgers. I don't think this is a playoff team. The Miami Dolphins, listen, the NFL stepped in. They got Miami to put Tua on the IR. He is now symptom free. So I want you to think about this. 2.5 weeks later, almost 3 weeks since that game, okay? Almost 3 weeks since that game, Tua's now symptom free. 3 weeks. We're used to guys being out because he gets a concussion for a game. He's been out for 2, and because he played on Thursday, got a little bit of an advantage. He wouldn't be playing the 3rd week because he wouldn't have been cleared from when he was cleared right now. He would not have been cleared early enough to be declared to be able to play. They have a cutoff for concussions. It's not like a game time decision. No, that's not how concussions work. He's got to pass it and then be able to play. And it's pass it early, not pass it once. Tua is going to endanger his life to play football. The Miami Dolphins, at this point, I don't know what you do. You're going to be paying him a lot of money. Yeah, your offense doesn't look right with anybody else at quarterback right now. You very easily could be 1-7 when you get Tua Tagovailoa, or 1-6 when you get Tua Tagovailoa back. Because I believe he can come back. Week number 8's the week that he can potentially come back. They're going to lose every game between now and then. So you're sitting there at 1-6, 1-7, whichever one it is. You're not making the playoffs. You're not making the playoffs. Another team that's not making the playoffs, New England Patriots. But you can see what Jerod Mayo is trying to do. Remember, I said culture is everything. Bill Belichick, his culture idea, or idea of a culture, waned really thin over the last 10 to 12 years. Well, Jerod Mayo has brought in a culture that is more player-centric, but still with high accountability. You can see what they're trying to accomplish. They just don't have the talent to really compete right now. But you can see what they're doing. And they're not hurting Drake May while doing it. I love this for Drake May right now. I really do. I love this for Drake May. David Andrews, their center, is now out. Ramondre Stevenson has been fumbling. It sounds like they're going to be switching to Antonio Gibson this weekend as the main running back. Excuse me. Jerod Mayo is making coaching decisions. The defense is still tough. New England's a real defense. Defense is still tough. Okay? I like what's being built. And because I believe they're going to beat Miami, they could be above Miami in the draft order. I think they can pull out 4 wins, 5 wins. I know, I can hear people like, well, hold it. When Tua comes back, listen, when Tua comes back, what do you do if you're the Dolphins? If you're 1-7, you'd have to rattle off 9 straight wins to make the playoffs. And that team is not going to beat Buffalo. I don't think that team beats the Jets. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. But, you know, I'm sorry. Yeah. They're sitting right there. But, that's all they are. Just the Miami Dolphins sitting there. Nothing else. That's it. There needs to be something else on this team. It's a lot of flash. It's a lot of speed, a lot of glitz and glam, but there's really nothing to this team. And that's the issue right now. Now, the team that is the best one in that division, hands down, the Buffalo Bills. Josh Allen owns this division. Even last year when they were struggling, they own the division. They own this division. The Buffalo Bills have a running game. The defense will get better and better. And I believe at the end of the day, Buffalo will be potentially fighting for the number one slot in the AFC. They're good. They're really good. And I hear it all the time. Yeah, but it's Buffalo. They'll do this or they'll do that. Shut up. Kansas City's going to lose, guys. It doesn't last forever. Even the Patriots didn't last forever. The Ravens constantly lost, and they won a Super Bowl. They broke through. Buffalo will do it. And I believe the way the team is set up now, I think they need a little bit more on the defensive side of the ball. But Von Miller's out for the next 4 games. So he's going to be really fresh for the playoffs now. He's going to be nice and ready to go. And then they get that stupid contract off of their books. And they have cap room next year. You want a Josh Allen, James Cook, Keon Coleman, Dalton Kincaid-led team to have cap room? It's Buffalo. They're going to get suitors. They're going to get people that want to go play for them. Defensive players will come play for Buffalo. So Buffalo right now, cream of the crop, absolutely in the AFC East. Now the NFC North, I don't know what this thing is. This is a dumpster fire. This is weird. Okay, now it's not as bad of a dumpster fire as the AFC South. We'll get to that in a second. AFC North, the Steelers, one of the worst offenses to have a winning record right now. The Baltimore Ravens finally figured out that they are the dominant team and have started blowing teams out again. The Cincinnati Bengals have very little defense, and really the offense doesn't look crisp because they have no running game really to speak of outside of against the Panthers. Let's take that with a grain of salt. The Cleveland Browns don't have a quarterback, don't have a running game. Nick Chubb will be returning, but not yet. And all of that just leaves us with what a jumbled mess. Now, Cincinnati needed to beat the Panthers to avoid going 0-4. Cleveland, I believe, goes to 1-3 after this week against the Washington Commanders. Pittsburgh has the game against Dallas, and not going to lie, I don't know who's going to win that game because Dallas has issues on the defensive line now. They got offensive issues. They got defensive issues. I don't know. Pittsburgh's at home. They could pull that one out. Doesn't make sense to me, but they could pull it out. I don't know. So when you look at everything, the Ravens are the best. Everybody else is mediocre at best. And Cincinnati, yeah, I know they always start out slow. Listen, the run game isn't good and the defense isn't good. T. Higgins, came back. Offense looked a little bit better, but that's all it was a little bit better. Let's not go, let's not go to extremes here. It looked a little bit better. Now, the ultimate dumpster fire is the AFC South. The Jaguars are 0-4. The Titans are 1-3. The Colts are 2-2, but an absolutely horrible 2-2 at that. And then the Texans sitting there at 3-1, the best in that division without a question. I like where the Texans are at. I like what they have. I like all the way around. First quarter of the season, you go 3-1. All the new acquisitions. Don't think you could ask for anything better at this point. I really don't. You got 2 division wins already. You beat the Colts on the road. You beat Jacksonville at home. It works. It works. It absolutely works. And I'm looking forward to seeing what the Texans can do, especially this week against Buffalo and the rest of the season. Indianapolis Colts, listen, they may have the only shot with Joe Flacco. The playoffs are open at 9-8 in the AFC. The playoffs are open at 9-8. The NFC has a heavier top end than the AFC right now. The NFC's got a heavier top end, but very light bottom. The AFC has the middle. They have the ultimate muddled middle, where 9-8 or potentially 8-9 could make the playoffs. And I believe Joe Flacco could get the Colts to 8 or 9 wins, looking at how he controlled the offense against the Steelers on Sunday. No turnovers, less mental mistakes, less big mistakes. That could be their only hope. Jaguars need a win over the Colts. Then they need to rattle off a couple more to get back into the playoff hunt. They're not out of it because of it being the AFC. The muddled middle is going to reign supreme. Your division winners will all probably be 12 wins, and your playoff teams are going to be 9-win, 10-win teams. Your wild card teams are going to be 9 or 10 wins. You're not going to have to win 11 games potentially like you do in the NFC. All right, final division, NFC West. The Chargers have a issue at quarterback, and it's the quarterback's health, not the quarterback's play. Justin Herbert's foot. It's a real issue. Okay, let's just call it for what it is. It's a real issue. I don't know how the season's going to end up playing out for him. He's going to be playing through a lot of pain. That's for sure. And I don't like that for him. I really don't. The Broncos, listen, I think, just like I said, I think they're going to hover around 500 all year long. Bo Nix is capable. The defense is scrappy. They're going to be outmatched against some teams. They're going to look overwhelmed at times. That's okay. It's the first year. They're building something. Sean Payton is building the team. Las Vegas Raiders, same thing. They're just building. They're just building. They beat the Ravens in a surprise. They beat the Browns. They're sitting at 2-2. Devontae Adams is disgruntled, so they're going to trade him away. But there's no pressure. They're done with the carousel. Tom Telesco, the GM, Antonio Pierce, the head coach, they've got time. They've been given time by the owner. Well, if you're hovering around 500, it gives you that ability to tell them you've got time. We're competitive enough while we're trying to build something. They don't have their quarterback of the future. Minshew has been bad. Minshew has been bad. They do not have their quarterback of the future on that roster. They will be drafting one in the draft. And it's really that simple. But right now, 2-2, treading water, you know, they're going to make the trade. If they get the first, this is the thing. If they can pull this trade off for Davante, get a first round and a fourth round pick for Davante Adams, I believe it sets them up really well for the draft in April. I trust Tom Telesco. I trust Antonio Pierce. They knew what they wanted to do because they already signed Minshew to a 2-year deal. So they knew what they wanted to do in the offseason. They're building with the future in mind, not the present. But the signing of Christian Wilkins was for the present. Gives you a defensive line that is really formidable. I think this week against Denver is going to be an interesting matchup. It's in Denver, so I give the nod to Denver because of, the altitude and everything like that. But just hovering around 500, and if you hover around 500 in the AFC, you can get in the playoffs. So there's that. Now, Kansas City Chiefs. Rashee Rice, out for the year. Hollywood Brown, out for the year. Currently, I know this is going to rub people the wrong way, so I'm ready. The player they really can't afford to have go down with an injury right now is Chris Jones. They really can't. They cannot afford for him to go down with an injury because that defense will not be the same. That defense relies on Chris Jones like nobody else. The defense right now is a very strong part of their team, as it should be. The reality is the offense isn't that strong. The offense is kind of weak, and especially with no receivers again. Xavier Worthy was a great draft pick, but he's not a number one. Travis Kelce is, timeless, but not because he's getting older. The Kelce's, Jason took care of himself. Travis takes care of himself. But Travis has been injured. And if you're going to keep taking hits to the legs, it's going to wear thin on you really quickly. They've got holes. Their tackles are not good. Patrick Mahomes is not playing great football right now. So all in all, there's some to be desired, but they're undefeated right now. And you can't argue with results. The culture is set there. Andy Reid is set. I do think he's going to retire, if not this year, in the next couple years. His wife is ready for him to be at home. You can tell he's doing a little bit more when it comes to the interviews throughout the week. His wife has told him, relax. She wants him around, and I get that. Part of me hopes they win the Super Bowl this year, gets that three-peat, that's, that coveted three-peat. Part of me hopes that because then I think he will retire, and I think that's going to be better for him and his health. I mean, he's been coaching for a long time. She deserves the ability. Ask Miss Terry. Ask Nick Saban's wife. Ask Miss Terry right now. She loves having her husband home, and I think Andy Reid's family is ready for him to just be home and enjoy the time at home. But the Kansas City Chiefs can't deny right now the culture he's built there, the offensive signing, the defensive signings. He's got experienced coaches on that staff. I like where the Kansas City Chiefs are. And that's it. That is all 32 teams. That is all 8 divisions in the 32 teams. And that's where we stand as of right now, heading into week number 5 in this NFL season. That is exactly where we stand. And we're going to wait and see what happens. We're going to wait and see what transpires, what teams will make a move, what teams won't, the trade targets that may or may not be out there, how many teams realize that they just truly can't compete. Not that they don't want to, but that they can't. They're not there yet. That's my question. How many teams are going to be like, we need a little bit more? We're not ready yet. I fully think the Patriots could sell at the trade deadline, get some extra draft picks, get these expiring contracts that they may not be looking to re-sign in the offseason. Get rid of a couple of them, couple fifth, couple sixth-round picks. The Panthers potentially do the same. You could see the Browns potentially trying to tear it down to rebuild it back up, because there's only so far you can go. And obviously the Deshaun Watson stuff is really hurting them. So, there's a couple teams, the Giants could. I don't think they will. If Daboll gets fired, Daboll's going to get hired right away. If I'm Arizona, I'll hire Brian Daboll. Give me Brian Daboll with Kyler Murray, and let me see what I can get the offense to be. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. But as of right now, this is where we're at. As of right now, this is where we're at. This is what we got. This is the first quarter of the NFL season in review. And it's been a fun one. Upsets, surprises, disappointments, absolutely. But that's where we're at right now. This is exactly where we're at. All right, guys, that is going to do it for this. Thank you so much for hanging out. It is a little bit longer of a podcast, so thank you for hanging on through it. We are going to get let's see, what would be the next one? I think tomorrow's going to be tomorrow's Sunday. And I don't know if I'm going to have the preview. I think this is where we're going to end it this week. So no preview this week. We do have the bye week, so it changes things a little bit. But for now, we're good. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Make sure to subscribe. Make sure to like the podcast. Ring the notification bell so you get notified every time one comes available. Thank you so much. Enjoy the Sunday of football that is upcoming. Good luck to you and your team. And until next time, for Sports Talk with Hawk, I am Hawk, and I'm out.